hybrid creatures have existed for decades, with scientists constantly pushing the boundaries of ethics and morals to create increasingly complex and astonishing bizarre animals. People are starting to question if we are breeding with aliens. There was a surprising poll done where it showed that 6% of Americans truly did believe that they were abducted by aliens, and had some very not safe for work tests done on them. This apparently resulted in females becoming pregnant with weird alien offsprings. The UFO lore revolving around this claims that aliens for some reason are no longer able to procreate on their own planet, so now they have come to Earth and make us carry that burden. Yeah, I don't really get it either. Because of this theory though, conspiracy theorists are claiming that alien hybrids are going to take over our planet and everyone along with it. Scientists are kind of watching this unfold and are going, huh? And it didn't help that a professor at a Korean university claimed that climate change is the reason that these alleged abductions have begun to skyrocket in recent years. His proof for this, though, is non-existent. His claim, however, stated that by doing this, human hybrids will have a better chance at withstanding the intense changes on our planet, and also allowing aliens to carry on their DNA. This professor goes on to note as well that the first generation hybrids still have physical features distinctive to aliens, but from the second generation, they have almost indistinguishable bodily features from those of humans, although they may still carry at least 1/4 of alien genes. Look, I believe in aliens, but I personally cannot follow this story. Ilya Ivanov, the man with the ambition of creating superhuman warriors. In 1910, however, especially while living in Russia, it was not going to be easy to try and snag funding for these types of experiments. His goal was to create a human-monkey hybrid, and since the government at the time was apparently super anti-religious, he twisted his words and stated that this was going to be an experiment that proves as a win for atheists going against the church. So they said, you know what, heck yeah, here's $10,000 for you to mess around and experiment. Using the money, he flew over to Guyana and tried to lure in a couple of apes and local women. The women basically told him, no thank you, I'm not doing that, and instead he opted for men to donate their own bodily fluids. Another problem, however, was that apes were surprisingly difficult to capture and find, but eventually he managed to capture 13 of them. After inserting the donor fluids, nothing happened. He then tried to go back to Guyana and find the women again, but was immediately sought out by the authorities and got sent back to Russia. Ilya tried so many different tactics to try to get this dream to come to fruition, but he was never able to succeed. This man was sent to prison shortly after, where he would pass on in his cell. Mice with human livers. Although we are at a point where we cannot completely make a full exact copy of a human body part, we are getting darn close to seeing how human cells interact with animals. Not to mention all the recent animal cloning that's being done. I'm not too crazy with this experiment though, because the whole point of these tests was to see which medication is harmful to the human liver. Regular liver in mice show no symptoms or any issues that humans go through with their liver, so they purposely bioengineered these guys. There was too much medicine and other substances going around at this time that was never noticed in humans until it was too late. So by creating human liver mice, we might be able to stop it before it happens. It's one of the major issues as to why people seek out liver transplants. Of course, science is all about trial and error. One issue that came up was how humans and mice were affected by the medicine individually. No two species are the same even if they have the quote-unquote same liver. This is what happened in 1993. When a medicine called FIAU was tested, it showed no issue with the animals, but once it was given to people, it had terrible side effects. Born at Chester Zoo in England back in 1978, Maudie became the world's first African and Asian elephant hybrid. Not only is it difficult for an Asian and African elephant to meet, but they are from two different species. Thankfully though, they are a part of the same genus and hold the same number of chromosomes, so it's not really a complete miracle that they were able to produce an offspring. The only problem though, Maudie obviously didn't make it. He was born with stomach issues and sadly passed 2 weeks later. He shared some interesting similarities between two of his parents though, harboring the African elephant cheeks, ears, and back, while the number of his nails and single trunk finger resembled his Asian elephant parent. Maudie became living proof, even for a little bit, that interbreeding between similar genomes is possible, but the complications are clearly there. However, much more recently, a dog-fox hybrid was discovered, and looked to be juvenile too, making scientists ponder further on the fascinating world of animals with similar genus. A slug that can photosynthesize by absorbing the genes of algae when it eats it. This is the first species to ever show a combination of two extremely different life forms, having scientists puzzled as to how this is possible. Not only that, because it's adapted in a very strange way, it can also get its energy from the sun, going on for months without having to actually eat anything. Sydney K. Pierce, who works at the University of South Florida, stated, "There is no way on Earth that genes from algae should work inside an animal's cell, and yet here they do. They allow the animal to rely on sunshine for its nutrition, so if something happens to their food source, they have a way of not starving until they find more algae to eat. The sea slug absorbs the chloroplast, which is the cause of photosynthesis, and can stay up to around 9 months in its system." Scientists decided to do a little test on the guy by giving it medicine that stops photosynthesis altogether. What they discovered though was that the slug managed to stay alive for 55 days without any additional food either. Sure, it got smaller and paler, but still managed to use whatever organelles they ate from their previous meal and made it last. A mother polar bear found love unexpectedly with not just one, but 2 grizzly bears. As a result, she gave birth to 2 generations of hybrid bears, with her cubs following in her footsteps and creating even more hybrids. While female polar bears typically have some choice in mates, if a male grizzly shows interest and is much larger, it's clear what will happen. This was first observed when 2 researchers were flying over the northern part of Victoria Island and saw a grizzly chasing a polar bear. They decided to stay out of it, not wanting to get involved, and 2 years later, in the same area, they discovered the same cream-colored bear with 3 chocolate-colored cubs. This bear turned out to be the daughter of the original polar bear, kicking off this unusual mix. Living with polar bear instincts but looking like a grizzly poses challenges, especially when it comes to hunting on the ice where they stand out. They also couldn't gather any data on how hibernation might affect them, since grizzlies hibernate during the winter, while polar bears are active in hunting during that time. The beautiful and majestic Jagleon, a hybrid species created with breeding a male jaguar and a female lion. Much like other cat hybrids, you will never find them out in the wild, especially the Jagleon, and will only ever be created in captivity. They are very striking in appearance, with their coat colors and patterns depending on which parent they take after the most. While a jaguar enjoys a life of solitude and a lion prides himself on being surrounded by, well, his pride, a Jagleon can be either or depending on its personality. The Jagleon's hunting tactics could have been phenomenal if we saw them in action out in the wild, with jaguars and lionesses both being extremely skilled when going after prey. Most hybrids come with complications though, such as skeletal deformities or even shortened lifespans, as a result of the 2 species mixing. Do you have any favorite hybrid creatures? Let me know down below, and I will see you all in the next video.